Hi, this is session 5 of our GMM module. Welcome back. In this module, we will be focusing on SMEs or small and medium enterprises going to the international markets. Let's start off with our learning objectives for this session. First, let's try to understand what motivates or what makes these SMEs explore the international markets. And secondly, what kind of barriers or challenges they may face when they are trying to enter or when they operate in international markets. Number two, let me tell you, there is a distinct difference in how organizations used to go international in the past, say 30-40 years ago, but how organizations go international today. Let's appraise what these changes in these patterns are and understand how whether it's easier or whether it's difficult for these SMEs to go international. Number three, more and more SMEs are acting as outsourced organizations, or rather doing outsourced work of larger M&Es in the international market. Let's try to understand some factors associated with this outsourcing. Earlier, we learned that there are two key drivers that make organizations go international. One is growth, for growth prospects. Number two, for survival of the organization. Now, under these key drivers, you can find a variety of factors, a multitude of factors that we can club together that will drive organizations to go for either growth or for survival of the organization. And these factors can be divided into two distinct groups: reactive stimuli or reactive factors and proactive factors. Reactive factors are, as you can, I'm sure, very clearly understand, reacting to certain developments in the markets or developments within the organization. On the other hand, the proactive factors are due to the proactiveness of the organization, the mindset, the culture, the managers or the new management who has joined, or the international manager. By scanning the environment, by researching, you, without waiting for any of these events to take place in the market or organization, anticipating certain changes, you tend to act on it. So let's look at some reactive factors. One of the key factors is the domestic market conditions. We all know from time to time around the world, anywhere, there have been conflicts, wars, unrest, economic downturns, various factors that drove markets to be low, less return on investment, not so much market movement, etc. So when these happen, organizations might try to look at other external markets where they can sell their products and services. It could be even natural disasters. During those times, organizations might be pushed to take some steps. Could be because of political unrest, economic downturn. Okay, so any of these conditions can make your organization react and think, hey, let's see what other markets look like. Can we enter a new market? Opportunity to reduce inventories. Now, see, if you recall, especially in Sri Lanka during the last, I would say 6 months or so, we had an issue with pumpkins. There was a huge supply of pumpkins where the farmers could not sell. Likewise, you may have opportunity of having large inventories, perishable or non-perishable, where you might be able to sell these produce in overseas markets. especially markets like Africa or other developing markets might be receptible, would accept most of these products, and the organization would be able to reap a good benefit, a good harvest, or a good return on investment on this, and that may make the organizations go international. There could be extra production capacity. It could be seasonal, or it could be on an ongoing basis. As you know, most of the apparel companies, they produce and they have seasonal orders, and sometimes within the year, in between these cycles, the organization might realize, hey, we have a lot of excess capacity. We can use the labor, we can use the resources, we can use the assembly line or the production line. Why don't we produce and look at different markets so we can enter an international market? Favorable currency movements also might help you to think entering international markets. The Sri Lankan rupee has devalued against the dollar, the pound, the euro. This might be a very good opportunity for exporters or organizations to enter international markets and bring back dollars or euros or British pounds, which can give them a significant advantage. But of course, at the same time, the importers may find it difficult. Another reason could be a sudden set of orders from overseas customers. It could be at a trade show, or it could be that some customers walk into your showroom or your outlet and they place a larger order and ask whether you can supply. That might stimulate you to look at international markets. Likewise, you have these factors that make you react and enter international markets. On the other hand, if you consider the proactive stimuli or proactive factors that I spoke to you about, such as attractive profit growth opportunities identified by the management team or the international manager, the organization could be very proactive, or the management or team members could be very proactive, or the new joinees, the new management could be very proactive. You can look at the future developments. You can scan the international markets. You can do research and then understand what kind of opportunities are there for your development. Or if you are expecting, say, for an example, a low or tough domestic market condition, what can you do? One way of escaping that low economic period could be to enter international markets which are more lucrative. Say for an example, let's take a very simple example, like you are producing pineapple or another fruit. If you scan the international market, a country like Maldives is in a good position to buy Sri Lankan produce. Of course, Sri Lankan produce is good, known to be of high quality. Maldives does not grow their own fruits and vegetables in large scale. So there could be a great opportunity for you to dispose your extra stocks, or to have a continuous supply if your domestic market does not give you sufficient price, a good attractive price. You might look at these international markets. Foreign country regulations is another proactive. When you look at the markets in a proactive manner, when you scan the markets, when you see foreign country regulations are changing, for an example, lessening or lowering of trade barriers, inviting international organizations to come into their markets and start selling products and services, or trade tie-up between two countries like Sri Lanka and, say, Middle East, or Sri Lanka and India, or Sri Lanka and Maldives. This will enable you to go international from your native market. And also, The economies from additional orders, when you start looking at the numbers, achieving economies of scale, you might be able to give products at a lower price in both markets, including the native market as well as the international market. So that way you create your economies of scale. Maybe you use your additional spare capacity or your spare uh, resources. So in whatever way, when organizations identify these elements, they might decide to go international in a very proactive manner.